Okay, we're back here. Currently you should have, if you run your program, in assignment number 3, you should have the checkbox functional. We should have, if we select certain animal types, we should get this change in this label here. We should also have these sizes that change here based on that. So we're going to add one more UI element here, and then we're going to start talking about looping, and specifically the for loop and how we can use that in times where we need to repeat a task over and over and over, or maybe loop through some data and find some specific requirement. So anyways, we're going to put a button in here, and so with that button I'm just going to rename that button. Try not get all the properties here. I'm going to say up, and it's going to increment what we're going to do here. So, I should name it an appropriate name. Button up. And we'll just call this up. Okay, and so that just, I don't know why we gave it that name. Well, you're going to see in a second about that. So default kind of event for a button is click. We've done that before. Double click on that. We have a new event here, and so that's in place. So let's start talking about the for loop. So with for, enter the word for, and then you do open brackets. Now there's 3 things that this kind of for is going to take. It's going to take, first of all, you need to initialize, and this one's optional. Initialize a variable here. Okay, so this is the first argument, is initialize a variable, and so within that, I'm going to say integer int, just called I, equals 0. Okay, and we're going to do a semicolon. Then now so that's the first part of our for statement, is kind of initializing a variable. Now the second part is a condition, and we're going to say while I is less than 10. Okay, I could do less than or equal than 10. I can do some different things there. So it's just these kind of common logical operators that we have from math. In this case, it's less than that we're going to use. So while I is less than 10, we're going to do something. Okay, and then the last part is where we add our increment. So I'll talk about this in a second. So I can go I, and I could go plus 1, but a shorthand way to do this would be I plus plus. Okay, and that's going to increment our there. And so now basically what this is going to do, so this is your basic for statement here. And so with the for statement, you have the for, open brackets, and then this first part, for that first semicolon, you're initializing a variable. Okay, in this case I just called it I. And then in the middle here we have the condition that it's going to loop through. So as long as I is less than 10, it's going to loop through here. Okay, now if I didn't include this last part here, I would always be less than 10. This would be what we'd call an infinite loop, which is not what we want. Okay, so after it loops through once, what's going to happen is it's going to increment. So it's going to increase I's value by 1 every time it loops through. Okay, and so eventually this should loop through, what, 9 times. Okay, before it is no longer less than 10, right? And so it's going to loop through this kind of whatever I tell it to do within these kind of brackets here. So it's going to do whatever I have in these brackets here until this condition is no longer true. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in, and we haven't used this before, but I'm just going to go message box dot show. This is just something that's built into the .NET framework. It's a way for us to show a pop-up box. And so what I'm going to do with this pop-up box is it's just going to have a place for me to put a message in there. So I'm going to say message box show hello I equals space, and then we're going to actually put in the value of I there. So what I'm going to do is I can concatenate strings with just adding the plus, and then I'm going to say I dot toString, and that would make sense. Okay, and then I'm just going to have to semicolon that. So basically what this is going to go is it's going to say, a message box is going to say hello I equals, and then whatever the I value is. That's going to do a pop-up every time I hit that button. It's going to loop through a bunch of message boxes. And the only thing that should change each time it loops through is the value of I should be adding up every time once. So let's save that and let's just run and see how that button works. So I'm going to hit start. It's going to run. So when I hit here, okay, it says hello I equals 0, hello I equals 1, hello I equals 2, and so it's every time it's looping through, this message box just allows us to kind of pause and take a look at what the value is there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it's done. Okay, so it was looping through, or it'll continue to loop through, okay, until I is no longer less than 10. Okay, and so that is your basic for loop. And hopefully you have an understanding of what that means, that for loop. Okay, that's it for this lesson. When you get done that, what I want you to do is I want you to save up. Okay, so this is the end of lesson or assignment number 3, and so I can just close this. Okay, we've already built it here, and so what you're going to do is just going to publish again, publish assignment number 3, and we're going to save that to our hand-in spot again. Browse. We're going to go inside of structured programming. I'm going to create an assignment folder for you. Assignment 3, and then inside of here, I'm also going to create a folder for yourself. Morrison Nevin 3. There. Open. Next. Next. We're going to use all the defaults. And then finish. And then I should have my application up and running with those different, kind of 4 different things in the setup files, just like before. Sounds good. Assignment number 3 is in the books. See you back again.